Welcome to yet another day in wrestling history. On July 12, 1986, Bruno Sammartino, the man with the longest reign as WWE Champion in history at over 2,800 days, wrestled his final match in Madison Square Garden. Bruno was the champion from May of 1963 to June of 1971, a record that will likely never be broken. On this night, Bruno teamed with Tito Santana to face the WWF Intercontinental Champion Macho Man Randy Savage and adorable Adrian Adonis in a cage. More on that later. Bruno Sammartino has a long history of selling out the world's most famous arena. He headlined the venue 211 times, of which 188 were sell-out crowds. Before Rocky Balboa, Bruno was the Italian stallion of the 1960s. The living legend famously fell out of love with wrestling when Vince McMahon Jr. started to create his own vision of sports entertainment, which didn't align with Bruno's. He stuck around in the early WrestleMania years to manage and team with his son David. He retired from the ring in 1987 and distanced himself from wrestling entirely until he accepted the invitation into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013. A deal brokered largely by Triple H, one of his early successors as an executive in the company. The reason I bring this up is that given Bruno's reputation for not liking sports entertainment, it seems bizarre to me that Bruno would share the ring with one of the most prolific showmen to ever enter a WWE ring, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Alas, the two battled in Madison Square Garden in this tag team match. The two teams had previously met on June 14th, also in Madison Square Garden. On that night, a wild brawl erupted before the opening bell rang. The crowd erupts when Bruno and Savage tangle, with Bruno having the upper hand. It's also really interesting to see Bruno tangle with the flamboyant Adrian Adonis. Bruno hits him with repeated arm drags as the crowd approves. Sammartino gets a primitive version of a hot tag, and the crowd goes wild for him. Savage's plan works in the end, as he and Adonis win by countout. Clearly something would have to be done to confine these two teams. Enter the steel cage. This match would take place on July 12th, but it aired on Primetime Wrestling on July 28th. In this match, you could only win by both members of the team escaping the cage. While escape the cage rules don't make much sense if you think too much about it, this makes even less sense, because if Savage escapes, like he tried to repeatedly, he would be leaving his partner against two opponents. Regardless, Savage and Adonis wanted no part of Bruno or Tito. I feel like Bruno must have felt the same way, as until he and Tito won, he's the only one who made no attempt to escape the cage, only to prevent his opponents from doing so. Once the two teams get going, this match is really enjoyable, and Bruno shines as a top-level wrestler even in the twilight of his career. At one point, Adonis climbs the cage and could escape, but decides to jump on Bruno and misses. This was a scary move to watch, as Adonis is no small man, but he got up and continued straight away. The conclusion comes when Tito knocks Savage off the wall of the cage into Adonis, giving Bruno and Tito enough time to escape at the same time, as the Madison Square Garden crowd roars in approval. Thank you for watching yet another wrestling channel. If you enjoyed this, please comment, like or subscribe.